So today's lesson is just a recap of how to do things in Desmos because most students are ready to start graphing their equations. So just as a recap, I've made a little bit of a tower here. And how have I made these slanted lines? Well, over here you can see in green, I've done my y equals mx plus b. It's a pretty steep slope. And I have changed this 7 number to move it around. Like if I move it to 8 or like 10, it moves actually a little bit closer to the other one. Okay, but I like 7, so I'm going to put it here. Similarly, to make the purple slanted line, you can create a negative slope. You can see that the slopes are about the same, just one's negative. And I have chosen to make this y-intercept at plus 35. It's like all the way up here. Now the y-intercept never shows up on my graph, and I never want it to. It's just if I change this, it'll change the location of the line. Like if I go to 40, it'll actually move it over here. So I think I like that. I'm okay with 40. And so I'm going to leave those as they are. A reminder though, I'm trying to chop these down because I don't want it to go on forever. I actually want my tower to stop here at 6. I don't want it to go any taller than that. Okay, so you have a choice. You can cut it off on the x-axis or you can cut it off on the y. But in this case, I think it's easier because I'm trying to go from 0 to 6. I'm going to cut it off on the y-axis. So I'm going to say that y's go from 0 to 6. And I have successfully cut down my line. Now I'll show you in the purple one, you can also use the x coordinates. It's just you have to know where it starts and ends. Like this x starts at 3.777. So 3.777 x, and I don't know where it ends. Actually, I should have checked that out first as it disappears. I guess 4.444. Okay. So 3.777 x 4.444. So it's the same result. You can use the x's or the y's, but I think in this case it's much easier to use the y's. And here I've successfully made my tower, but I would like to put a roof on my tower. And I want that roof to be an arch. So I'll show you a couple ways of making an arch. The first way is doing a bunch of steps, and the second way is to use the formula. So in general, an arch is y equals x squared. But I want the arch to go the other way, like upside down. Do you remember what I should do? So most of the students said we can do a negative x, and it does flip upside down. Now, I'm not completely satisfied with the width of this. I really do wish it was a bit fatter. So I'm going to put 0.5. Okay, I still don't like that. I'm going to make it even smaller. 0.1 maybe. No, that's too fat. 0.2. Okay, I like that. Now I'm going to move it to the right. Now I actually want it to be like here at around, I don't know, 3, I guess. I want to move it to 3. So here's how you're going to move it 3 units to the right. You're going to put brackets around your x, just the x, and then you're going to put -3. Actually, maybe I wanted 2.5. Yeah, maybe 2.6. Okay, that's pretty close. That's where I wanted it. Okay. And then I also want to move it upwards. So I'm going to put my y in brackets like this. And then I want to move it how many units up? Oh, I don't know, like 7 units up maybe. So I'm going to put -7. Okay, maybe that's too low. Maybe like -6. 0.5. Okay, so I'm looking at this arch now. And I'm like not super happy with it because that's kind of where I want it. Like I want it here. Not 67, 7. But maybe more like 6.5. That's where I want it, but I want it to touch like the tips of this. So it's not too late to change the fatness of this. Maybe I've made it too fat. Maybe I wanted to make it a little skinnier. Maybe like that. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So you can still go back and change that 0.2 even after you've moved it, and it'll look right like that. So now I just need to cut this off. Like I want to cut it off here and here. So I'm going to say that x is going to be 1.42 and 3.77. 1.42 and 3.77. Okay, I've cut it off, and there I successfully made my little dome. Okay, and I have done that using an arch. Now that is a lot of steps, and if you wanted to, I can show you a formula for how we could come up with those. So I'm just going to pause. So over here, I've made a little bit of a cheat sheet on how to make an arch. If you cannot remember all these steps, you can use a formula. So for example, we have a formula for the slanted line. It's y equals mx plus b. And then you just have to choose the values for m and b that you would like. So this one's a bit more complicated. The formula for an arch is a lot longer. But you have 3 variables here, k, a, and h. And those are the ones that you're going to put in numbers for. So A is going to be the fatness of your arch, or the thickness. If you want it upside down, you just make it negative. If you would like to shift it to the right, you just have to go x minus however much. And if you want to shift it up, you can go y minus whatever, however much. So this is completely optional, but this is a format of an arch that you can use if you can't remember all the steps. So similarly, there's a format that you can use for a circle. So if you can't remember all the steps, you can just put this in, and you can put in your values for your right shift, your upshift, and your radius. And I'll leave this up here so that you can use it as a cheat sheet. But I'm going to use this formula to come up with a circle. I'm going to use the formula this time in order to make a circle. So I'm going to go to the next one. So this is going to be a new graph. And here's what the formula says. It says x minus h all squared in brackets plus y minus k all squared in brackets equals r squared. Now you may notice that nothing shows up yet because they don't have any numbers for h, k, and r. Like, you have to put those in for yourself. So let's just suppose that I'm going to put in 1 for all of them. 1, 1, and 1. So there, my circle now shows up because you have to put values in for those h, k, and r. So it's got a radius of 1, it's got a right shift of 1, and it's got an upshift of 1. And that's why it's up here. Okay, so I personally would like to shift this up a little bit higher to maybe 3 or maybe 4. Okay, and I would like to shift this a little bit more to the right, maybe like 3, maybe not, maybe just 2.5 or 2.6. There. And now I have this little, I don't know, rocket ship, I guess, with a window on it. So I've just shown you how you can create a circle using the formula. If you don't like the formula, then you're going to have to remember what the basic formula for a circle is. It's x squared plus y squared equals 1. And then you can change the different things depending on how big you would like it to be. And you can put, again, brackets around x. And you can use this to shift it. For example, minus 3. If you want to go plus 3, it'll actually go to the left. So it's good to know that. Okay, and then if you want to shift this, I don't know, maybe downwards, put brackets and put like plus 1, and it'll go down like so. Let's suppose that I want to cut the blue circle so it only has this part over here. So you can tell it to only go from like y until 2, and it will give you that. Interestingly, I know that there's nothing like above 1.5 here, but like if you put 2, it still restricts it how you would like. Now, what if you want like a half of it because you're making the Taj Mahal, like over here? In that case, you're going to have to restrict your x's, okay? So you're going to have your x's go from, I don't know, like -6 to -3, I guess. -6 to -3. What does that do? Oh yeah, there you go, okay? And there's like a half of your, I don't know, Taj Mahal or whatever it is you want to make. So I'm going to do some more examples tomorrow of how to make like ocean waves and stuff, but this should be enough for you to get started today. Most of you guys are just going to be working with lines to start. So a reminder, how do I make slanted lines? Y equals mx plus b. How do I make vertical and horizontal lines? Look, I made one here. That's a vertical line, x equals 1. Here's a horizontal one, y equals 1. Okay. I will say one more thing. So the first thing you have to do is you have to create and save your Desmos file. And then you're going to share the link with me either through Remind or private message or email. You can hit the share link button and it'll give you a link. You must use folders to organize your work. Easily, many of you will have 100 equations or more. And going back and trying to find the one you're looking for is going to be impossible if you do not create folders. So please, please, like say there's one folder called maybe basic outline, middle roof, or you can do little windows, for example, and then at least you can go back and find what you're looking for. You will regret it if you just decide to go at her, okay? Also create the outline of your building first and add details later. This may take way longer than you think it will, and you may just not get to those finer details, and that's okay. You may just have to call it quits and say, you know what, a 70% is good enough because I am out of time. So please at least make sure that the outline of your building is good first. Okay, one more thing was the question, how do I share my Desmos graph? You go to here, up here, share graph. You just copy the link and then you email it or just remind it or private message it to whoever you want to share it with.